We are the Bloomington Purple Raiders, and you're watching Overtime.
You're watching Game Day Live Overtime, sponsored by Alexander's Steakhouse.
Welcome back to Game Day Live Overtime. Now time for a deep dive into the big games of the night. Joining us now, Steve Cease from our Twin Cities newsroom. You can follow him on Twitter at Prof Cease for score updates on Friday nights. Steve covered the wild game between Bloomington and Normal Community. And Steve, before we break down some of the highlights, how about a 2 or 3 sentence thought on the craziest game of the year that had a little bit of everything tonight?
Yeah, Kurt, we had 3 kickoff returns for a touchdown, 2 of them back-to-back. We had an offensive lineman with a reception touchdown tonight. We had a really strange final play, or one of the final plays of the game, that almost saw the Raiders come back. So, you know, I'll talk more about that play later, but I apologize to the folks who were following me on Twitter because I couldn't keep up with the scores that fast.
Hey, we don't blame you. Okay, let's take a look at these highlights. You've already mentioned there were 2 kickoff returns in the first quarter, plus Cole Kretzinger scored 5 touchdowns tonight. Like in the first half, he had enough for an entire week. It was crazy.
Moment in Panther history.
Yeah, 3 of those touchdowns were in the first half.
Wrong game.
2 on the ground and that kickoff return for a touchdown. And I tell you what, Kurt, that kickoff return for a touchdown, the first one came at a pivotal time because Bloomington had just scored on their opening drive of the game. The second one also coming at a pivotal time in the third quarter that put the Ironmen up by 3 scores. This will be the Cole Kretzinger game. I mean, 5 touchdowns, 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown, and 3 really good scores on a night where he had 150 rushing yards. Certainly put the Ironmen on his back tonight.
Okay, Bloomington never gave up in this game, and they showed a lot of grit to make it a game. They were down 3 scores. The Purple Raiders are certainly a playoff team, and they have a lot to learn from this loss, don't they?
Yeah, and Kurt, yes, the final score was a 2-touchdown win for Community, but Bloomington was very much in this game at the end. They played well. Keontae Hamilton, their young quarterback, had a great game, 3 touchdowns through the air, 215 for yardage. Also had a rushing touchdown and 60 yards on the ground tonight, but he did have a fumble that he lost and threw an interception. So we got to take care of the ball. That play toward the end that I want to bring up, the Raider defense did an excellent job stopping Community on 3rd down with less than 2 minutes left in the game, and at that point they were only down by 1 touchdown. Normal Community punts. Bloomington blocks that punt, but an Ironman player picks up the ball and advances it for a 1st down, keeping that drive alive. The Ironmen would score later that drive to go up by 2 touchdowns, and it was too late for Bloomington to come back at that point. We very well could have been looking at a Raider victory tonight.
That's crazy. 56-42. Again, Normal Community wins a wild game over Bloomington. Thanks, Steve, for your analysis. Just 3 weeks to go in the regular season, and that one might take the cake for the craziest game of the year. Now across the studio to Patrick Cunningham for our second matchup tonight.
Thank you, Kurt. We welcome to the studio Jonathan Michael of Clutch Sports Media, who covered East Peoria and Washington. Jonathan, that game not nearly as crazy as Bloomington Normal Community, no. And while Washington was certainly the favorites tonight, they left no doubt there with 3 touchdowns in the first few minutes of the game.
Yeah, I mean, by the time you blinked, they were up 14-0. 2 picks early on. Caden Chadwick, Joe Smith picked off East Peoria on their first few plays of the game, set up some very short fields. Will Freeman capped it off. He had 4 touchdowns on the night, 3, 15, 17, 1 yards out. He did not need to really do a ton of the heavy lifting. Yeah, his teammates were able to do it for him, and the defense really gave them some good field position.
All right, sometimes as a coach, you worry about these kind of games because they have a massive game next week, and we'll get to that in a second. So sometimes you're worried about coming out a little slow, and Washington certainly didn't do that tonight.
No, and we talked with Todd Stevens earlier this week. He said that, hey, we want to make sure that we're not hitting kind of mid-season low. We're not losing our fundamentals. Well, they were all on display for Washington tonight. I mean, it's a team that, again, is very well disciplined, and they just didn't really make many mistakes. Again, they didn't turn the ball over. They forced a lot of turnovers on defense as well. So they were, again, it's just a team that is picking up steam with each and every week.
All right, we move to a massive game next Friday. Washington at Dunlap. Dunlap 6-0, Washington 5-1, both unbeaten in the Middle Illini. I mean, a game that certainly gives an inside track to one of those teams for the conference title.
For sure. It's going to be a great defensive battle. I mean, talk about a Dunlap defense that has pitched 3 shutouts coming into tonight, and a Washington defense that, again, is played very well as of late. It could be first 1 to 10 winning that game, but, again, there's also some great offensive options for both teams. It's, again, 2 teams that are undoubtedly, I think, the tops in the Mid-Illini right now. It's been a great conference race, but I think it will come down to that game at Dunlap. It should be an amazing atmosphere.
All right, Jonathan, we appreciate you. Looking forward to have the last few weeks of the year, especially next week. That's going to be a very fun game.